Hey, welcome to another Friday Night Live Q&A. Hopping on here real fast. Man, I should have looked in the mirror before I got on here. My hair's been crazy. I've been super busy getting fish stuff done and getting real excited about the fish room and everything. If you guys haven't seen it yet, I did give out a full tour of the fish room, the dirty fish room tour, all the no filter tanks, how I do it, show you guys that it can be done. I've been doing it for years. And no, it's not just because I have all this experience. It's just literally as hard as you want to make it and as simple as you want to make it. So hopefully that video can help open your guys' eyes to a different way of aquarium keeping. Now, granted, if I only had one, two, three, four, five, maybe even 10 to 20 tanks, they would all be spectacularly cleaned. But when you have hundreds of aquariums, trying to stay on them to make sure that they're all just perfect video quality, because a lot of people clean up their tanks before they video them. I show you guys the dirty tanks, the dirty side of aquarium keeping. And it doesn't have to be dirty. You can do your maintenance too. I've got clean tanks too, but wanted to let you guys know that that is out. So if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. I am currently working on cleaning things up in the fish room. Many of you guys know that I have been working on a project outside where I've been trying to build this screened in area enclosure for all my outdoor tub stuff to keep the dragonfly larvae out of it. And I've got all the exterior posts done, but I got bill money coming up soon, so I want to try to collect that before I get back into it. Plus, trying to get water changes done and a few things moved around in my fish room. That way, while I'm working on that screened project, then I got stuff growing out and maturing in a nicely fashion while I do so. So lately, I've been focusing on getting things cleaned up. That fish room, even though I just showed you guys the whole dirty bits of it. Good to see you guys all in the chat too. Carrie Britton says, here in the waiting room, lol, maybe be able to hang for a few, but I have a date night with the wife, so may have to head out. Right, fish looking good, stunning, my guy. If anything, I'll catch you on that replay. Well, right on, Carrie. Appreciate that, and hope you guys have a great date night tonight. Oh, and also, I will only be on here for a half an hour tonight because I do have to get back to getting a special order done for a very good friend. And they're taking some things that I kind of need to make some room for. So I got to get back to that before the lights go off. So I will only be able to be on here for a half hour. But the whole reason why we're here is to answer your guys' questions. So if you guys have questions, throw them out. If not, I'm going to keep rambling on as usual. Hello, 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 everybody in the chat. I see all you guys. Good to see you. And Lady LRB, thanks for posting up that link. You can definitely watch that later. It is kind of a longer video, but it shows everything of what I'm doing and a lot of why I'm doing it in that barn. And a lot has stayed the same and a lot has changed. What's up, Darb? All right, I'm at the bottom of the chat. So you got a question? That's where I'm at. Fishka Page says, when can we expect more rice fish on the site? Maybe. So that's one thing about being a content creator. Not do I always have the fish ready when I show them on a clip. I kind of just wanted to show you guys. I knew a lot of you guys would want them, and I do have some growing out. It will be a couple months. Many people were asking me about that, but it's going to be a couple months. I do have a bunch growing out because I have been moving them around and trying to get the numbers on them. So I would say give it about 2-3 months, if that. I mean, they are growing pretty quick. Some are good, getting size. I would say, yeah, 2-3 months. King of DIY was a special order for a very good friend. I did not place the order. Say his name. I hate that you make me feel like this. Oh, always so jelly. You'll be all right, Joey. If I could ship to Canada, brother, I would. You'd have a fish room full of LRV stuff. I know many of my little fishes would love your big old tanks. But good to see you in here, brother. Garcia Aquatic says, "Hey LRB guppies, I got from you. They're doing great. Good to hear, Garcia, and hope you're doing well too." Garbar says, "Have any experience with sparkling gourami? I'm thinking about putting 10 in a 20-gallon with lots of holy hardscapes and leaves." So that's actually would be a really good scape for them because especially if you want to breed them. So the sparkling gourami creates a bubble nest. And all those little holes, there's potential they can get a nest in there and actually breed. And 20 long, they don't need a whole lot of height. So something like a 20 long is perfect, gives them more surface area and less height to work with. And they can eat off the detritus of the leaves. Sounds like a perfect setup for them. And you get that black water from the leaves with that sparkling gourami color. Gorgeous. I don't know if I've got a video from when I did that, when I bred those or not. I don't know if that was pre YouTube or not. King of DIY, holy cow, the $100 Canadian throwing out all the loonies says, "Cancel the special friends order. Do it now. Be my special friend." I don't think that's how this works, buddy. That is not how this works. But I know you're kidding. You know I love you. XOXO. But thank you for the super chat. Unfortunately, that's not going to cancel that. Unless you can take a bunch of random endlers and guppies. If I could ship them to you, boy, I would. I definitely would. I look like I've been out in the sun all day. Let's see. Tracy Brunson says, "I wonder if a pair of rice fish will multiply in the big ponds that were on the land when you bought it." Uh, you know, I don't know, but I wouldn't try it. That's not something I want to do. As much as those big ponds have space, water space, there's lots of reasons why I don't want to put anything out there. Just I'm not going to be responsible for that. And on top of that, I've got tubs and stuff. I would rather do it in a more controlled environment that I don't have frogs eating up. I'm not going to go out to the big ponds trying to catch them anyways. But they may, I don't know. There is like small killifish type fish that are native around here that kind of mimic the same behavior as rice fish, but rice fish aren't that smart. So if anything's trying to predate on it, it's going to catch that rice fish probably before any other fish. Because they're really curious. So if there's like a predatory bug or a frog or something waiting in the wings, or even a turtle, they would probably walk right up into its mouth. Like, "Ooh, can I nibble on your tooth, Mr. Turtle?" Or beak, whatever you call that thing. What do you call that little sharp part that the turtle has? Is that a tooth? Is it a beak? What is that thing? Darbar says, "King of DIY is Canadian. That changes everything. I'm dismantling all my tank stands." Well, Darb, they'll be American soon. Don't worry. Beto Great Lakes says, "Lucas, my Amano shrimp keeps stealing my Placo's algae wafers." Yeah, Amanos are vivacious eaters. They will eat always, all the time. And if you want your Placo to get something to eat, especially your algae wafers, maybe your Placo is more of a nocturnal. Maybe feed it towards the night, and it will get a better chance. And or do some like cucumber or something that's not gonna dissipate so quick. But yeah, there can definitely be competition with amanos and any bottom dwelling type of fish. So actually, a good thing you brought that up because I don't think I've ever talked about that or have mentioned that because I don't normally keep amanos, but I have seen amanos that when I did keep them, I had used my Indiana topsoil in the tank, and they literally turned all that substrate upside down to pick out whatever was in that substrate. They turned the whole thing over. They were ravenous about it too. But I could never feed that tank enough because those guys were always so hungry. Moto Guppy says, I've been really getting into crypt. Was wondering what I have to do to get some of your rare crypts from you. So I actually got a lot of the super rare bullated Sherwax, which those are probably the rarest ones I have besides this Ferragenia crypt, which I just don't have enough of those yet. I think I'll probably start offering them probably soon, like maybe in a week or two. I may start pulling out of them because I do got them like side to side on a 40. The thing about those though is I got to make sure I like when I pull from them, I don't like to like pull one or two here. I want to make sure they go before I like start picking on them because it's hard to pick on crypt mats and them be happy about it. And they'll be like, "Why are they picking on us?" And then they'll start melting back. Yeah, I am teasing you guys a little bit with the rice fish, but that's all fun and games. And other people can show their rice fish and not have to worry about it. I should be able to show my rice fish and not worry about it. Johnny Bass, what's up, my dog? Says, which type of live plants work best as same for spawning? So guppy grass definitely, pearlweed definitely. Those are like my main two if I'm just doing a breeding tank for spawning. They make awesome mops. And moss, any kind of moss. We got some moss growing out, but nothing on the website right now. Tracy Brunson says, do you have giant self-in mollies? So I do not. They are native around here, so I don't really mess with them much. And they get huge too. But Wild Fish Tanks, if you guys ever heard of him, he would be the one that asked for giant self-in mollies. Right on, Call of Freedom. Watching all the way from Belgium. Way down yonder. But Great Lake says, Lucas, do you keep uncapped regular yard soil in your tanks? Is that practical? Yeah, I mean, I don't cap it mine with anything. Even if it was just like Indiana dirt where it was clay and like real dirty, like it's sand here. I don't really have to, definitely don't have to worry about cap. But even up there, I would not cap it. Now, the thing with the dirty tanks or the dirt tanks is you plant them and then let them grow out. It's when you mess around the tank. If you want a tank that you're just going to mess around all the time and you're just going to constantly be moving stuff, I recommend some kind of gravel or sand. Now, if you're not the kind that wants to worry about messing with the substrate and sand or plants and stuff all the time, where you're moving it and kicking up dirt, then dirted tanks are great. You can still move stuff around, but just be gentle about it. So if you're like pulling a plant out of a dirted tank, be slow about it. That way you're not just ripping it up, throwing dirt everywhere in the water column. If you're slow about it, it'll settle real low. It'll hardly get anywhere and it'll settle before you'll even know it. You'll be surprised how fast those dirty tanks will resettle. You can get into that tank, muck it up, like rip those plants out and everything, but if you're not running a filter, that tank will be settled pretty much the next day. And you may have some dirt on your leaves, so you'll go in the day after and just kind of knock the dirt off the leaves. That way it doesn't cause issues with the plants. But if you do run a filter and you kick all that dirt into the substrate or into the water column, it will take forever, absolutely forever for it to settle, because it won't settle. It will constantly churn through that filter. So those are scenarios where you'll really run into the issues of um, dirt getting into the water column with a dirted tank. And then some fish, like cory cats and even the mono shrimp, will constantly throw dirt into the water column too, which sometimes can just make cloudy water, and you'd be wondering why. But it is practical. David P. Philibek says, any chance you'll be selling any of your Cryptnary? I saw you had some in your recent walkthrough video. Having a terrible time breaking down ammonia nitrite spikes in a new 10-gallon setup. Any ideas? So, don't battle that ammonia nitrite spike. The best thing to do is let it settle. If you don't have any fish in there, especially don't put anything in there yet, because obviously something's imbalanced. If you let nature kind of take its few days and naturally balance it, and adding plants does help, it will settle down. You'll get beneficial bacteria that'll start eating that up and cycling it out. But a lot of those spikes could be coming from your water source. I don't know what your water source is like. So, since you only have a 10-gallon, it would probably be wise to get a 5-gallon bucket and let your water settle in a 5-gallon bucket before you do your water change, and or do small water changes down the road, like 20-30%. You won't want to do 50% ones, because then it could create more of those ammonia spikes for you, which you don't want. But as far as the Nuri Crypt, it might be a little while until I start picking on it, because it's one of those sensitive crypts. And once you start picking on it, doesn't like it. It's kind of like one of those things. I can only harvest like so many times a year, like maybe a couple times a year can I harvest my Nuri, if that, because how long it takes to grow out and everything. I'm hoping to get like bigger masses up to be able to keep it more for you guys. And if you already have a tank, David, if that isn't your first 10-gallon setup and you do have like a dirty filter or something, squeeze the dirty filter sponge where you get all that brown mold into the tank. That'll fix your ammonia nitrite spikes right up right away. Have you heard of the balloon molly? It is priced $350 for a pair. No, I haven't. I mean, I've heard of them, and I know they've been around for a long time, but I don't know why in the world a pair would be for $350. Because one, in my opinion, they're a bit hideous and shouldn't even really exist. And two, I thought they'd been around for a while. But yeah, not a big fan of the blue mollies. It's like the short body fish. There's like genetic mutations that normally would not be desired. But to each their own. To each their own. All right. Any other questions? I'm at the bottom of the chat. If you got them, floating plants help big time. Yeah, floating plants are great for absorbing things, which most plants in the hobby can be considered floating plants. Less like your cribs and your swords and perenniums and things, but like your Rotalias and Luigias and Hygrophilias and those other sorts. That's gonna all be floating plants. Lerda Word says, "Have you ever built a above ground ponds?" So at my old house, I had heated above ground ponds where I built PVC frames with housing insulation around it, and then put in like some tubs, which were like my above ground ponds. I haven't done anything like a swimming pool. I've done like other tubs, like the 110-gallon tubs that I've got outside. But that's as far as above ground. That's as far as it's gone. Like I've been tempted to get like one of those cheap swimming pools, just throw stuff in there. But for me, that would be more of a collect all, because there's one thing I don't like to do when it comes to breeding fish. One thing, and I think this is why my stock does better than most any other fish you'll get from like a farm or something, is to breed fish in big waters. Like 110, 125 is like my max. And I usually don't grow the babies up in that much space, because when you grow up fish into a big pond and then you sell them to somebody that puts them in a 10-gallon, I don't know. I don't feel that good about that. But if I raise that fish up in a 10 or 20-gallon and I sell it to somebody who's going to put them in the same, I'll feel a lot better about that than if I was just raising them out of like a big pool or something. So that's the only reason why I haven't done that. I've thought about a big pool for koi fish, but at the same time, after what happened to me up north with the mink, I do not want to put koi outside without protection. So eventually I'll get that protection in. Aquarium Fantasy says, Lucas, will you do another live stream on Sunday or during the week? I don't know. You did ask me that last week, and I did not do it or had time. I always feel like I need to have like a reason to live stream, which I mean, I've got some reasons, but I don't know. When I think about it, I'm like, this isn't going to be this entertaining, and or it's going to take me a lot longer to do what I need to do if I got to sit there and look at my phone and do stuff. And with all the multiple projects that I've got going on right now, because not only am I trying to get that screened in enclosure done, but those who've been following me, Henry, you know that my pumps haven't been working in my fish room. So that is something I'm trying to work on in tandem with my other project. And I do have one of the pumps replaced with a new pump, and I was supposed to test it out today, still haven't got to it, so hopefully, definitely, we'll get to that tomorrow. But there's a lot on my plate as far as trying to get stuff done, and I can't promise anything. But if the time does come up where I'm like, all right, I got the time, this is it. Like I thought about like just turn on the live while I build my screened in enclosure, but I think most people just won't be that interested in me getting sweaty and moving big 4x4 posts and throwing concrete around. That, and God forbid I had to scroll with concrete on my fingers or gloves. What is the brand name of the new pump? Oh man. I don't think it really had a brand name. So what I did was I contacted Nathan, the guy who bought my old house, and he gave me a picture of the model number to the pumps that work at the old house because his are still working, and he's had his for years now. So I'm thinking those would be pretty good. So I just reverse searched the model number to find these pumps, which wasn't easy, and they didn't really have a brand name. But I will show eventually what they are, the model number and all that. I gotta get all that stuff working. I gotta fire it up, make sure it does work too. That, and I need to buy my pumps before everybody else will buy them, especially if there wasn't as many as I could find. Alan Townsend says, "Do you have shrimp in stock?" I do have shrimp in stock. I know last week a lot of the numbers got pretty low, but I do restock it every week. So what I do with my website is I only put so many numbers on there because if I were to sell everything all at once and I ain't have no backups in case something happened and or just didn't leave enough back to breed out, it helps me mediate all that by just putting certain numbers up. So even if something is out of stock that week or about out of stock, check the next week. Johnny Best, my dude, you the best. Thank you so much for that $20 super chat. Guys, very awesome. Very awesome. And you gifted a membership. Thank you, my boy. My dude. Cypher Crack says, "Doesn't the glass aquariums get boiling hot standing outdoors during the summer?" You know, they probably stay a lot cooler than the black tubs do. So, no, they don't get real hot. And I have most of my glass tanks in a shaded area. Glad you're loving those killifish, Kyle. Which reminds me, I did add some more killifish to the website. Once again, I had more killifish. I just selling them in portions. Deep in the mom. That's where you'll find me. Yeah, Aquarium Fantasy, reach out for us or to us if you're looking for that pump, and I'll send you the model number. Thank you, Johnny Bass, for reminding people to hit that like button. I'm so terrible about that, but yeah, that would be great. Only 28 likes, man. I guess I'm not very likable. Well, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. See, thank God I got Wesley. Beto Great Lake says, "What common plants do you not want to combine in the same substrate?" What common plants do you not want to combine in the same substrate? There's a plethora of them that have allopathy, but for the most part, it's a trial and error thing. And most plants do get along with each other. Couldn't tell you. Like, there's so many. It's like, what do you classify as like common as well? Let me just say, everything on my website will grow with each other, and there's a lot of plants out there. Like your cribs, your valves, they all kind of grow in their own space. It's like when you look at the woods or out in the forest and you see plants growing everywhere. Like some will do good here and there, but it all depends on who's got the biomass taking over what area, how big they're going to grow. That's the biggest things you got to think about is how big do the plants actually grow? How fast do they grow? Are they going to take over? Are you going to have to chop them back more often? And I absolutely just love species only myself. Although it doesn't happen because I got collectoritis and I love to just throw everything together too. Paul of Freedom says, did you all know you can use ChatGPT for recommendation on fish health? Try it, is very good, but I ask questions correctly. Oh man. Considering how I treat everything, I can only imagine how I would feel about what ChatGPT tells me. Which is fine because, it's what a lot of people have been doing for a long time, is going by more of the book. But at the same time, it also has its issues. So usually when it comes to fish health, and what a book tells you about fish health is it's going to recommend all these medications that you throw into it, which if it's not internal worms, I wouldn't even medicate it. There's really nothing to medicate. About the only time when you got internal worms, that's about the only time where I'd actually throw medication into a tank. Besides that, nature has its way, and the immunities of fish get destroyed when you add too many medications. And one of the biggest things that will help a fish is its natural immunity. So a lot has to come with its comfort, how it feels in that tank. It doesn't matter what kind of medications you put in that tank. If that fish is not comfortable in that tank, if it's stressing that fish out, you could nuke it with all the meds in the world and it's just going to make it worse. So a lot of fish health actually derives more from nature than from the science of medicine. And I know that's not what ChatGPT is going to tell you for sure, because there's a division there. And it is what it is, and people will choose what they want to believe. Erwin Manson says, how many posts you got in now? I don't know. I really don't know. At least 20 some, if not around 30. The whole exterior is done. And I've got my first interior lined out. I just got to get my money up to get the post for it. I ended up getting, since I got some support from you guys, which thank you for the support. But definitely gonna have to work my way up through the project. So I did end up getting some credit cards because this is gonna be how I'm gonna have to do it. Which I did only get 0% interest credit cards, so at least for 18 months, and one for 21 months. I don't have to pay any interest. So I'm waiting to get those to where they got good credit limits before I actually splurge down and buy a bunch of material for it. So a little maneuvering here and there, but should be back onto the build for the enclosure next week. And in the meantime, I got plenty of fish stuff to do. Fishworks FM93 says, do you know, Eric, they used to have a aquarium business in Decatur, Georgia? Oh, he must be talking to somebody else. But I do not know them. Bruce D says, did you get any of your bronze crypts from Nathan? Those things were beautiful. I don't have any. And the reason why I don't and haven't even tried, they were and are beautiful. It's just they were so common. I sold so many of them. I feel like I saturated the market, but at the same time, I should give them space. But as much as I would love to focus on plants, and I do a little bit, the fish really take over. The fish really take over the focus over everything. because that's what I'm like really into and have space for. But Great Lake says I had to find out the hard way that some plants will not spread in sand. What plants won't spread in sand? I don't believe that whatsoever. There's a lot of people that say that they can't grow stuff in sand, but I think there's a user error there because I do it all the time. Um, Darbwire says, "What do you use for worms?" Fenbendazole is good for some worms, and then if that's not working, you got to hit them with the levomasol. Tony Best says the yellow King Kongs. How hardy are they considering they're different from Neos? So as far as like water hardness, they do not like it like much over 200 TDS. That's about the only difference between them and the Neo as far as hardiness. Like they can live in it, they're just not gonna breed much, molt as much. Besides that, like they're super hardy. This stream says, should I start a green water Daphnia culture outside with tap water or rainwater? Rainwater would actually probably produce the green water for you quicker. And then what you want to do if you want to produce that green water, take some grass clippings, kind of mush them up, and throw them in with where you're culturing that out of, like your jug or whatever. And as that breaks down, that green water will really feed off of it. Aquarium Fantasy says, Lucas, will you build racks for tanks outside? So I am going to eventually, in that enclosure, take all those tanks that are laying on the ground and build them up into racks, which will also leave me more space to put tanks in the future. So what I'll probably do is along the wall of the barn is where I'll put those. But a Great Lakes says, Lucas, do you plan the plants for the fish or is it random? Really, it's random. As far as like most tanks I start up, I'll just throw guppy grass in or pearlweed or something, just so it's a decent sized biomass and it just gets things going faster, soaks up nutrients, waste like that. But yeah, there's no real plan to like what plants and fish. Now, depending if you're like doing certain like hard to breed fish, then I will think about plants a little more and what is more natural for them. But really, what it comes down to that is algae is the most universal plant on Earth. So those harder to breed fish sometimes do really trigger on that algae. But yeah, I don't plan a whole lot for plants. It's just what's getting moved around. Brain Fantasy says, how many tanks can you put around the barn? Oh, I haven't even figured that out. So what I was going to do is just start just putting them there. And what I end up with, um, that'll be it. Definitely quite a bit. Definitely quite a bit. 100 or so, at least. Johnny Best says, do killifish eat their own eggs if left unchecked after showing sign of spawning? Yeah, definitely. They will. They can get to them if they're hungry enough. Not bendazole, fenbendazole. FEN something, something, something. Do you dose the whole tank? Lady LRB is going to write it for you. Do you dose the whole tank or quarantine the tank? Well, you might as well just dose the tank because that's what needs to be treated. Is the whole tank. So at that point, that tank is a quarantine tank. And then, all right, unfortunately, I do got to hop off here because I do got to get back to it. And I did say I was going to be on here only 30 minutes. We went 40 minutes, but I got to get back to collecting some things before my time runs out, because I do only have a time frame for shipping it and getting it out and getting it ready. So I was saying that I do have to hop off here, but I appreciate you guys all joining and asking your questions, because that's how we brainstorm. That's how we come up with solutions. And hopefully I helped some of you guys. I don't know. If I did, hit the like button. If not, hit the like button anyways. Would be appreciated. Until next time, everybody. Peace. Have a great one. Do 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 do.